Well, this week, Texas's junior senator Ted Cruz said he wouldn't endorse his colleague John Cornyn nor primary challenger Steve Stockman. It's one of the topics we're rounding up for you this half hour. Cruz says he doesn't plan to endorse any incumbents or their challengers. His refusal is notable because he is a vice chairman of the GOP committee tasked with winning Senate elections. Meantime, Harris County Party Chair Jared Woodfill faces an equally tough primary challenge from Paul Simpson. So apparently not everyone is happy with Woodfill's leadership. That's because Harris County Judge Ed Emmot has donated more than $100,000 to the challenger Simpson's campaign. Well, this week's primary is our topic this half hour, and we want to hear from you. You can share your thoughts on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. In our newsroom, again, we have our legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. All right, take it away, guys. Lots to talk about.
You know, this is very interesting what Ted Cruz did this week. Now, to be fair, he announced a very long time ago that he would not be endorsing any incumbents. But for what he said this week, and particularly not endorsing John Cornyn and saying that any incumbent that needs his help is out of touch with the voters that they were already elected to represent, is a specific help to Steve Stockman, in my view, because it says to the voters, I don't like John Cornyn and I don't want him in office. And it highlights, Jackie Bally, a growing rift between the Tea Party individuals and the rest of the Republican Party. And really, don't you think that specifically not endorsing John Cornyn is a boost for Steve Stockman?
I don't think John Cornyn needs any endorsements because I think he's going to soundly win his race. And we have to remember that Ted won his race because of the Tea Party. He is an anti-establishment candidate. He was when he ran, and Cornyn was not really on his team when he ran. And so I'm not surprised at all that Ted has taken the position that he's taken. Again, he's pretty much stayed the course of what he did when he ran and how he is as a politician. And so the fact that he says, no, I'm not going to endorse anyone, I don't think that's a boost for Steve Stockman. Steve Stockman needs a lot more than that to actually defeat Cornyn.
Whether or not Steve can win or not, but doesn't his snub of John Cornyn say to his Tea Party voters, I like Steve Stockman better than John Cornyn?
Well, it certainly says that he doesn't support John Cornyn, who's a senior senator, and so there is a difference now between people that say that I'm a Republican than those that say I'm part of the Tea Party movement. And so that is a clear separation in the Republican Party, and that separation is getting deeper and wider as we go forward. And people like Ted Cruz are doing everything they can to create a different identity for the Republican Party than it had. Now, for some people, they may say it makes the Republican Party stronger, but there really is contrary evidence to that. And if it continues, what we're going to see is a splintered, fractured Republican Party that can't win any national elections.
Now, I want to go to Sally, but real quick before we go to Sally, is the Tea Party moving to the direction of becoming their own party?
Well, if you look at, and I've talked about this before, if no time in history where we've had a part of a party, Democrat or Republican, that has its own State of the Union address rebuttal, that it has its own caucus, that it has its own leadership, that has its own independent groups and money that support it. So, and they're also putting money in Republican primaries to beat challengers. So
what you're seeing with
that's a clear indication that this separation is long and wide.
What you're seeing with the Tea Party is we're actually becoming very strong, and we're becoming very strong within the Republican Party.
Okay, we'll see where that goes. I want to go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
We've got a couple people weighing in. Al right now watching, saying the Republican Party has a serious problem with promoting their brand. They seem to constantly fail at selling their views. And then Mike says the state of the party is fairly good. Last election we elected Ted Cruz. This time around we're going to see if we can help him in Congress.
Yeah, we're going to see where that goes. I want to talk before we're running out of time about this Jared Woodfill race for the Republican Party, Harris County Republican Party leadership that's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, you never see that.
I've never heard of that before. And note to self, don't get Judge Emmot mad because
that's right.
$110,000 to Jared's opponent. No, I think Paul has raised like over $300,000, and that is unheard of for this type of race. And you're going to see Jared and his team, they're social conservatives, and you're going to see Judge Emmot and his team, which are considered the moderates. And that's really what you're seeing in this face-off. Social conservatives usually come to the polls during the primary. So the fact that Paul has raised $300,000 and Judge Emmot is helping him significantly helps Paul and has made him a formidable opponent for the first time, because Jared has been in office for a very long time. But at the ending of the day, it's really which one can get their base out.
And what I'm reading when I'm doing research on this race is that the Texas Republican Party is looking at this race for the Harris County leadership as the bellwether for where the Republican Party in Texas is going. You've got Jared Woodfill, who wants to focus on social issues, and Paul Simpson, who wants to focus on a more of a moderate approach. And is this really the future of the whole party, this one little race?
I wouldn't read a whole lot into it, and I wouldn't call any Republican a moderate, because by doing that we're not helping them. Or, look, this race is an interesting race, and it certainly is an important race. The business community is seeing the Tea Party movement as a significant problem in governing, because if you're not able to do any infrastructure work because they're against deficits, if you're not able to do anything productive in government, then it's hard to move Texas forward. And so there is a definite pushback.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Talk about
Ukraine.
Ukraine.
Yes, we're going to talk about the latest in Ukraine. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you then.